Well, who says Christmas is over? Today, GM and Chrysler are getting their big present from the federal government. Billions of dollars will be given to the two failing U.S. car companies. And Doug Flynn, co-founder of Flynn Zito Capital Management, says all this money does is simply keep bankruptcy at bay. I guess the question is, Doug, does it even really do that right now?
Well, that remains to be seen. It's not a foregone conclusion that they won't still end up in some kind of formulated bankruptcy to allow them protection, sort of like an airline-style thing where they're able to operate.
And so is this money coming today? Is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? What do you make of it?
I think it's a good thing. I think that also with GMAC and them being able to access the discount line from the Fed, basically borrowing at 0.5%. You know, if you're going to bail out GM, you also have to bail out the area that allows all the people to borrow and buy the car. And
right.
So you can't just do one and not the other. So you kind of have to do both. And that's what this is starting to do.
Well, the plan for GM, as I understand it, is they get 3 different installments for this money. But we still don't really know how much GMAC could actually get or borrow from the U.S. government. Does that even matter for General Motors, which you can see right now trading at $3.66? Well,
in a way it does, because as GMAC's parent, what happens there definitely affects what happens at GM. And you're right that they have 3 installments. I believe that Chrysler has 2 installments, and Ford declined to receive the federal money. So that's an indication of health at each of those respective firms. But GM being much larger, they're going to receive a 3rd installment of that money to keep them afloat, and that's really what this does.
Well, is GMAC, I mean, what kind of variable do you make of GMAC? Is it a variable for GM and whether or not it survives? Does it matter to you as someone that's potentially buying stock to whether or not you invest in General Motors, depending on what GMAC borrows from the government?
I think it does, because if you, as we said, if you can sell the car but you can't have people buy it. This is what happened with the credit crisis. People want to show up and buy a car and they have no access to credit. So one of the biggest lenders, GMAC, if they're out of the picture, it's going to definitely affect the sales of GM.
Well, moving forward, we know GM's going to start getting the money today. The stock is trading, obviously, at $3, as we mentioned,
Sure.
$3.66. There's rumors that once the store is open, the U.S. government is going to just keep giving money to the car companies. We don't know if that's going to happen, but is now the right time to jump in and maybe buy Ford, buy GM on the bet that either there's going to be a merger or more government money coming to these companies?
I'd have to say no. I think that anytime you buy a company that's distressed, you have to treat it as speculative money, gambling. If you look at the fundamentals of this firm, the fact that it's hemorrhaging cash and that it really can't cease, cannot continue to exist the way that it is without longer-term solutions. This is just a short-term Band-Aid. This is not a long-term solution.
So where do you gamble then? What sector do you like right now?
Oh, you have to stay away from equities, I think, in the near term. You want to go with more of a market-neutral strategy, do things that can sort of short and long at the same time.
Do you have any examples of that?
Well, you're looking at mutual funds, really, in the market-neutral category, or a long-short. That's really the area you want to be until all this plays out, until we get the new administration in. I would not be, just because we're up a little bit off the $7,500 low, does not mean that we're smooth sailing back to 14.
Bring out the streamers, right, and the champagne. Not yet, not New Year's Eve yet, Doug. Okay, Doug, thank you very much. We'll be with Doug all morning, of course. And we told you on Friday that the New York Times is reportedly trying to sell its stake in the Boston Red Sox, the Boston Globe. Apparently, a buyer may have emerged. We're going to tell you who it is on The Radar, which is coming up next when Fox Business Morning continues.